In the early 1800s, Henry Clay was an extremely busy man. He was working as a politician in the presidency of Madison, as he had been all along. And he and John C. Calhoun worked to promote the American system. And the American system was basically consisted of three things. The first was a high tariff, protecting American businesses. Take a minute to just think back about what a tariff is. A tariff is a tax that is placed on imports. So things that are coming from other countries have an extra tax on them. And this helps to keep American goods more affordable so that people will prefer to buy American goods. You think about this, it still goes on today. So if you're buying a car, or a truck, for example, you can buy a Chevy pickup, or you can buy a Toyota Tundra, okay? And you're going to pay more for that Toyota Tundra. A lot of that is because of tariffs that are put on imports, okay? So the American system promotes high tariffs, and as a result, we have the Tariff of 1816. This was highly controversial for many people. The second thing that the American system promoted was the national bank. They want to bring it back. In 1811, the charter for the first national bank ended. And so Henry Clay would like to bring it back as a way of managing money for the U.S. government. The third thing he promoted in the American system was a system of internal improvements, and this was focused around transportation. So roads, bridges, and canals were the primary modes of transportation, but also we start to see the appearance of the first railroads. So why is the American system being promoted? Why is anybody interested in putting higher tariffs out there, higher taxes on imported goods? Why is anyone interested in spending federal money to construct roads? Well, first, Henry Clay thinks that if we make travel easier in general, it will encourage settlement of the western lands. He also thinks that the American system will unite the nation's economy. If you make more roads, that makes trade easier. It makes interstate commerce better, and thereby promoting a national economy. However, it actually increased tensions between the regions rather than uniting them. So instead of bringing them together through trade, it created tensions because the South typically did not like tariffs and Northerners typically did like tariffs. But the American system went into effect, and it began with the National Road being built in 1811. This was a road built by the federal government and extended from Cumberland, Maryland to Vandalia, Illinois. And it was important because the majority of travel during the early 1800s was by wagon or by foot. People, if they had to haul things long distances, used this Conestoga wagon. And that's like the wagon you see in Little House on the Prairie. It's the wagon on the left there. We also saw the construction of the Erie Canal. This is an amazing feat. The engineer was laughed at. People thought that he was crazy for wanting to take on this project. It was 363 miles long, dug all by men, by hand. And by 1825, it linked the Erie Canal to the Hudson River. And then the Hudson River in turn led to the Atlantic Ocean. So essentially it connected the Great Lakes to the Atlantic Ocean. The success of the Erie Canal led to massive canal building projects all across the country. And because of the Erie Canal, New York City developed into a booming port city. We also see the first railroads begin in the early 1800s. In 1825, the first steam locomotive is built in the United States. The advantages of the railroads are many, including that it's fast, it's capable of crossing any kind of terrain for the most part. They did have to cut through mountains and steep hillsides. Also, though, it could operate in severe weather, whereas animals pulling barges along a canal or pulling wagons may be hampered by inclement weather. Most transportation, however, in the early 1800s is still done by roads, rivers, and canals. So that's it for this first section, Industry and Sectionalism. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in class.